Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the This Week in the Tech Boy podcast. We have so much to get to today. This week, the Tech Boy Media published two articles on thetechboy.org, and we're going to be looking over our statistics from Sweetrix to see how well the website has been going. Also, we want to pivot to a more teen-focused company. We still want to stay close to our Christian tech stuff roots, but we have some interesting videos coming down in the pipeline. You might be seeing some changes over on the techboy.org. Of course, we're not going to lose any features because, of course, we are against losing features. Once you have a feature, you have to, try to keep the features that you already have in, right? But let's get over and turn to our first item of the agenda. So yesterday was Valentine's Day, and people were going around and talking about what they were getting to eat or something. I don't know. But anyway, there's this viral image of a piece of meat here. This is the original image. It's heart shaped. It looks like a heart, at least from what it's supposed to be, right? And if you can't see it in the red here, this is broccoli, and I replaced it with green beans here. So you might be wondering how I did that, right? I don't have Photoshop. I don't pay for any advanced photo editing applications. The only advanced editing application I paid for would be LumaFusion and Motion Ninja, which are both video editing phone applications, right? I barely use this computer for anything, which I guess we can talk about as well. Are computers truly dead? Right? There was some article from Fox that I was reading through from 2011 that was essentially saying the same things I'm saying now. Like, we're connected to the cloud. We are with 4G, now it's 5G. Since we're connected to the cloud, do we really need to do anything with a computer anymore? Like, if this software, which is just browser based, worked via on a phone, I mean, it might be better just use it on a phone anyway, because obviously the cameras are better. As you guys know, 2 years ago, before these podcasts were live, I did podcast episodes straight from my phone on deck, Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus, right? Super easy. It was kind of hard to edit a little bit though, but I mean, it was completely doable and possible. But we're getting off topic and tangent. So anyway, you download the application PhotoLeap, which is the same application that I use to generate pictures of Ava Harper, which is a virtual artificial intelligence influencer. Anyway, then you rub out what you need here. So you, this is in red, so you rub over it, right? We wanted to keep the meat and remove this vegetable and replace it with the green beans here, right? So all I did was rub the vegetables and then type in green beans, and it generated these pictures of green beans here. And this is the best picture. And I know this is a low quality, also one thing, it does have a little watermark. Not that thing. That's just whatever. It does have a watermark here, but I was able to erase it. You might be able to see. Or maybe I cropped it out. Whatever. You type it in there. Boom. You got your green beans. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So make sure you guys check that out. It's a free tool, PhotoLeap. Unfortunately, I think that will use your 1 AI credit per hour. So it used to be 5. I used to be able to generate 5 different iterations of Ava if I wanted to play around with some stuff, if it started flagging some stuff, but now I have to be a bit more careful. If I do that, then of course, have to wait another hour. But there are ways to get around that. Just make sure you just clear the cache and app data and then restart it again. You don't need any account, and you can keep doing unlimited generations. Maybe you shouldn't put that out there on the internet, because then PhotoLeap will find out, and then they'll shut it down. And also, it's not committing a crime anyway, I wouldn't condone that. All right, anyway. Also, over on TheTechBoy.org, the S24 Ultra 1 year later. What are we seeing from this? Right? S24 Ultra 1 year later, it's a decent phone, but we do have a few problems. So let's get into what the S24 Ultra is good at and what it's not good at. So first of all, good phone. Except, see this thing on the back of it? Battery case, right? Without this case, this phone probably would have died long time ago. Not from crashing or anything. It's very durable. That's one of the good things that I list about it, but from battery life. So battery life needs to get better on this phone. Doesn't matter what software I'm running, One UI 6, One UI 7 beta, battery life should get better. All right, another thing, S Pen. I can't pull it out anymore. And even though this is the last fully featured S Pen, I can't use it anymore because it held together with glue because it got stepped on. And yeah, they need to make it easier to get it out of here. All right, not glue, but like a glue dot. All right, the cameras. Let's do a test right now. I'm gonna see how long it takes. 1,000 to 1,000. So it took about 1.5 seconds to load through. When I take the picture, shutter lag is still there. Let's see if there's any blue. No, there's no blue, but there's still definite shutter lag there. Kind of like everything just needs to be a bit better. Also, this is a general Android problem. I'd like to see some more applications, some more features come over to the devices. Um, as they come over, hopefully Samsung keeps innovating and keeps promoting DeX. I haven't heard from them in a long time. And also, apparently, there's this problem for the people who didn't get their One UI 7 betas on their phones yet, right? Because I think enrollment is full. One UI 7 Stables app is still not on the phones, and it's not bringing the now bar to the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, which is just not now bar, the now thingy to that Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. It's just criminal. Like, you don't need a dedicated NPU to tell you the weather and give you a dedicated news briefing, right? We already have that in Samsung News Panel. People just sometimes disable it. We already have that. It's just a more advanced, quote unquote, AI version of that as well. So hopefully Samsung gets that fixed as well. But there are great things about the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, right? Extremely, extremely durable. Hopefully you guys can see this on the screen, but it's made out of titanium and Gorilla Glass Victus 2, durable, except for the S Pen. But it's doable. They also came in some neat colors. I got the titanium color. I didn't want yellow, but Samsung did sell a green version. I didn't get that one. The storage, right? I'm at 378 gigabytes now, so I should probably update that. But 512 gigabytes of storage, plenty enough. Probably should last me about 6 months, maybe a whole year, until I have to start deleting stuff, some useless apps. I barely use any apps anymore. Like, it's really sad. Like, the internet feels like it's gotten smaller since I was a kid, right? It feels like it's died or whatever. Anyway, most of the storage is filled with podcast clips from YouTube, yada yada yada, right? And it is specced out to the max, but it doesn't really need to be specced out to the max, in my opinion, right? But for some reason, it runs at like 8.1 something, depends, fluctuates gigabytes of RAM just normally, which is really, really weird because a few years ago, 8 gigabytes of RAM was the max, still is the max that you can get on a phone today. So if it wasn't an ultra phone, right? If I just had the normal S24 phone, maybe just an older S23 model and did the same stuff that I did on this phone, which is very light unless I'm just doing the video editing, it'd be maxed out. It'd be slow and sluggish already, right? Which is honestly ridiculous to me. I do like the Galaxy AI and software features. Hopefully they stay. Um, you know, it's going to be sad when they put a price onto them and my phone just becomes basically what the S22 Plus was back in 2022, which is ridiculous. I I don't get why those features, like, we paid, well, people paid thousands of dollars for those phones, right? Of course, they get the carrier deals, but then the carriers have to pay thousands of dollars for those phones as well. So I really don't want these things to become subscription based. That would not be a good thing. All right. The battery life, horrid. Power saving mode, no matter what you do, stream YouTube, GPS, whatever, it's still horrid. Right now, and screen issues, screen gets smudged easily. Like, you can see this on the screen. It actually looks a lot better than today, right? I think it might just be the olaphobic coating has kind of left. So, the anti-reflective stuff, it's still decent, but not as good as it could be. I heard the S25 Ultra is better, so I'll take them out there when we do. Also, it is getting a bit brighter now, but when this article was written, yeah, it was really hard to see, even outside on a dim day. So maybe it's just fluctuations with software. Maybe it's just acting weird on that day. Maybe it's just a software bug. I don't know. But, Samsung, it is $1,000 phone, so have better quality control. All right. Let's see what Mr. Who's the Boss has to say. And as we're doing this, let's go sign into our SweetTricks account. That's what we use for statistics. And let's see what our statistics over time has been. All right, it's loading here. So if you guys can see this on the screen, make search up. Nope, it's not up yet. All right. Oh man, we are down. We are down. So that can only mean two things: that we had a really, really good week, and thus, we're just mellowing out back to normal, or we're just like really falling because we only put out 2 articles this week. Because it seems like that more people are watching. Oh, this is over the last 7 days, so let's do our. I like the chart visualizations. Oh, great! So we just had a really good week here, but 70 average visitors it appears to be. February 12th being our low. Wait, no, sorry, February 9th being our low with only 68 visitors here. Our top articles, of course, are always the same on inside of download Instagram followers, offline chat. The new phone is pulling in some numbers as well. Samsung Galaxy M8 versus M7, finding breach setup, using a Telegram bot. Of course, number one country, English speaking countries, United States, India, UK, India, Canada, and Philippines. Each and every one of those countries, I believe, used to be a British colony. All right, now let's see what's coming in from Canada here. Only one on February 11th. I wonder who that could have been. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Now let's pull that one. Canada, Chrome, Windows, from Twitter, American English desktop. Tisk. All right, I'm gonna bookmark that. All right, anyway. Ooh, let's see. We got some notifications here. Nothing useful here. No one's over here yelling at me yet. Anyway, back to the site performance and strategy. So people aren't really reading the new stuff that we send out yet. We just put out new stuff because if you don't put out new stuff, then Google won't rank your website highly. And if people don't rank our website highly, then other TheTechBoy websites will become high, and that won't be good. Now, speaking of high, TikTok is probably now going to be number one back in the App Store again, as has been replaced back. It's been put back in the Google Play stores and Apple App Store. So unfortunately, the window for selling overpriced iPhones with TikTok pre-installed is closed. Okay, that was I don't know what that was. Anyway, speaking of local news has died. Um, you know, like we talked about 2 weeks ago with the high school newspapers. All right, local news has died, and I have come up with an idea to fix it. Right, like here in Houston, like we all want that Adventures in Odyssey experience where have the kids running around solving mini detective agency stories and et cetera. They have the local news reporters doing stuff, right? But here in Houston, right, you don't have much of that or any of that. Of course, the affiliate, like the local news affiliates here, are owned all by major affiliates, so they're gonna go focus on a bit more important stories than whatever they focused on in Adventures in Odyssey and in some of the smaller towns. Owned by ABC, Fox. I don't know who KP Garcia is owned by, but more of the same. Anyway, it's owned by Tinga or something. Anyway, more of the same. Anyway, more of the same. Stalling here. I gotta type in no. There we go. I came up with this idea with ChatGPT. Right? I came up with the idea, and I wanted to see what ChatGPT thought about it. Ooh, ChatGPT thought it was a genius idea, and I'm going to get this idea out to anyone for free because I don't have the kind of money or technological expertise to put this out. So it's a free idea, guys. Go implement it. Just cite me when it gets implemented. Anyway, so the idea is to have hyper-local news companies, and hopefully you guys can see this on the screen. There we go. So we have the small-time journalism vibe, and etc. The idea is to have hyperlocal news application. We divide the city, depends on how big the city is, into small zones and have local reporters and offices that just focus primarily on those small zones, which means that whatever's newsworthy that happens in those zones, from a lost dog to a game-winning touchdown pass thrown by the quarterback on the high school to whatever, even high school elections, missing things happening in people's yards, right? Just imagine what the Timberline twins did, or do in the Red Rock Mysteries book and radio series, contrasted with the Adventures in Odyssey, 30,000 people town reporter. right? And with the real-life application called Citizen, which is an application that allows you to report crimes happening nearby you. And it gives you a live, active crime map. I'm not going to show it here because then it's going to show my location, but of all the crimes happening around you. And if you happen to see something happening, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a crime. It could be like a house burning down or something. If you happen to see something around you, then you can live stream it, and the moderators can approve it, and then they will see it. So I actually have a video of me showing like some type of car accident happening in progress, and it's a safety application. If you pay money, you can also track your family members on there for some reason. Anyway, imagine that. They also have a news feed, but it's not that good. Imagine that, but more newsworthy, and also with a little bit less moderation. Wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be interesting? Yes, that would be interesting in my opinion. What do you guys think? All right, hopefully I get some chats in here because there's not much going on in the tech world today. There is this huge story about some woman who faked X account. Apparently, she had like 14 children, and said children didn't exist. So, be careful out there. She was also kind of annoying. So, whatever. I guess the patriarchy did fall. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we have here. Let's see what kind of videos we have from. Ooh, Mr. the Boss released a new video talking about some tech trends that need to die. I don't know how I missed that video. I used to get notifications of them. Let's see what the tech trends that need to die are. Also, I missed my headphones.
Welcome to the 13 most tragic tech fails ever.
He has those black roses, just like that person in Adventures in Odyssey from the clock tower. I forgot. Jilted roses. Yeah, that's what they're called.
Products and companies so dreadful that they died an instant death and need to be buried 6 feet under.
Dang.
Let's commemorate them. Beautiful service, isn't it? And it all starts with GoPro, who...
Also, I do like how his screen, he has a nice, kind of creepy, Halloween-esque, not that I condone Halloween. Evangelical base is going to yell at me, but whatevs. It's not like I'm running for president yet. Anyway, we got the background here with the trees, and we even have I think there's a cemetery plots if you look kind of closely in the background. So I am glad that he's utilizing his screen to not just show like his logo. I mean, the screen cost more than a house, $200,000. So, he might as well make some money.
In 2024, decided to release the Hero 4K, their cheapest ever action camera at $199, literally half the price of the flagship Hero 13 Black.
Looks like it's a piece of plastic. Also, you can get an action camera for like $60. VTech has the Kitty Zoom action camera too, as well, for like $60. It's for kids, but
it's a nice idea. I'd say most of GoPro's current users are enthusiasts willing to sink a lot of money into their extreme, adventurous hobbies. So the GoPro 4K was the company's way of...
GoPro still in business. Like, you sell one camera, okay, it's good. Then what?
Pricing themselves to be affordable to the masses. The people who just want to go pro on a walk. The problem, though, is that to hit this $199 price, they had to scale back key features. I feel like I've used microwaves with better-looking interfaces than this, and massively reduce the video and stabilization quality. And nowadays, you don't have to reduce that quality by very much until it is quite literally worse than the camera that everyone is already carrying around in their pocket anyway. I mean, actually, to be honest, forget the iPhone 16 Pro Max. If we just take an iPhone 13, even with this, the iPhone is still significantly better quality.
Yeah, let's see like this. I mean, he does look a bit more washed out. Of course, an iPhone 13 is still $500, so maybe this is for kids, but then still, you have the VTech thingy. I don't know. I kind of like the saturation on the back of the screen better on the Hero 4K, but it's not as realistic. And also, you don't want to strap that thing to your head, not because of, rays, but because of, if you're strapping a $500, oh my gosh, you can't even see this. If you're strapping a $500 phone to your head, it's probably gonna fall off, and it's also gonna be top heavy. So, It's not. Yeah.
Not to mention like 100 times easier because you're not having to faff around with SD cards. And to top it off, the
Hey, SD cards are actually good, and they should return not to the iPhone, but to the Samsung phones.
iPhone still has an action mode, which turns out is actually better than the GoPro stabilization. So this thing is not useful for the people who wouldn't normally be interested in action cameras.
Yeah, but you're not gonna, again, like I said, you're not gonna strap that to your head. Like, action cameras are meant to, kind of like put it on your camera, on your body, and like slide down water slides.
And it's not good enough for the people who already care about action cameras, making it basically dead on arrival.
I don't get this. Like, again, how? No one's going to buy an iPhone 13 and jump into a water park. Well, okay. No sane person is going to buy an iPhone 13 and film themselves jumping into like a water park with it. Some influencer might do that. Let's see how many iPhones I can get wet before they die. Or maybe some insane person just doesn't care about their phone might do that. But no non-influencer, sane person is going to do that.
1 out of 10 tech fail. But if you thought GoPro had cornered the market on trying to please everyone and actually in the process pleasing no one, then you might have forgotten about Sonic. Since Sonic 3 has come out...
Sonic, Matt Walsh, and History Vivek are about to get upset. Someone's gonna get upset here. Let's see what Sonic has to say. Yeah, actually, Sonic's on Prime, so we might actually be able to watch that. And I'm so glad that the person who won Beast Games wasn't some annoying person. I mean, finally, a decent person actually won Beast Games. Insane.
And we're all used to how he looks now in the movies. Feels like a good time to remind everyone about that initial trailer. Oh my god. People were...
He looks like a blue hedgehog.
Outraged that this is how their beloved childhood hedgehog friend was
Why are his legs so long, but okay.
Portrayed. The uncanny valley human-like proportions, the weird spaced-out eyes, the teeth.
What's wrong with him? He's a hedgehog. He looks fine to me.
Guaranteed those teeth will have appeared in children's nightmares across the globe. The reaction was so strong that Paramount decided to make a massive, publicly embarrassing U-turn, announcing that they would redesign and reanimate Sonic from scratch, which cost them an estimated $5 million and delayed the movie by a full 3 months.
Oh, so the movie's already come out. Okay. Also, with AI, it's probably faster now.
Gotta go not so fast. Here's the interesting twist. If we were in the Paramount boardroom at the time this was happening, we'd have been freaking out about the now soiled reputation of our company. But this is one of those rare tech fails in which the company saw what they did wrong, they suppressed their ego, they apologized, and they managed to still win from the situation by
He just looks like a cartoon character now. And it's just a video game. I don't know. I don't worship or even care that much about Sonic. The only Sonic game I know is the one where you collect the rings on the Kindle.
Fixing it at their own cost. Like, that $5 million investment played, I'm sure, a massive part in this movie going on to gross $149 million at the US-Canada box office, completely flipping Paramount's reputation into them being the heroes and even spawning 2 sequels where they brought in Tails, Knuckles, and even Shadow in the same style that fans now happily accepted, pushing the franchise past the $1 billion mark worldwide. So again, can't really give this more than...
Okay, that's great. Maybe it was intentional, to get to marketing.
1 out of 10 fail. But now things start to get real somber. This is Moxie, the $800
Oh yes, Moxie. Rest in peace, Moxie.
emotional support AI robot for children, which in itself is already one of the strangest sentences I've said this year. So the idea of Moxie is interesting, at the very least. It was designed by a bunch of neuroscientists and child development specialists to basically help parents to teach their kids social skills.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, kids would interact with it. They're specifically meant to form a close bond with it. And the thing was pretty advanced. It used a proprietary mix of AI technologies, including ChatGPT, to regulate its facial expressions depending on the tone of the conversation. And it could also...
Proprietary? Really? I read some book about robotics back in like 2014, where they had a robot, which, if it got in the book, was even older than that could have facial expressions. So, okay.
to store up to 4 profiles so that its interactions with different kids in the same household are all unique. But then, just about the worst thing that could possibly happen happened. Embodied, the startup behind Moxie, sent out an email announcing that the bot is shutting down, leaving the parents with the job.
Problem with cloud technology. If it shuts down, you can't get it back, which is unfortunate.
Of gently explaining to their very young children why their best friend is disappearing. Answer, because the company failed to secure additional funding. But this was heartbreaking stuff to the kids who basically had to watch their friend die, since because it's using cloud-based servers, once the servers are shut down, the robots can't function. Oh yeah, and
that's crazy. Just put a Raspberry Pi in it.
No refunds, is what they said. But the icing on the casket, in this poetic, dystopian, Blade Runner-esque twist, the final shutdown email also included suggestions on how parents should break the news to their now devastated children. Yeah, this product backfired so hard. 2 out of 10 fail. So, there's a good chance that you've heard of the pretty successful Steam Deck. Probably the most mainstream handheld gaming computer.
I've actually only seen it like once or twice. Also, I wonder if you can actually do stuff on it. Like, yeah, you can play video games on it, but can you actually do something productive? I don't know what you could do with the computers you can't do on the phone anymore, but still, like, I think you can. Okay.
Computer ever. But did you know the Steam Deck wasn't actually the company's first attempt at a console? See, in 2015, there were 2 primary types of gamers. There were the PC gamers who got the highest end graphics, as well as cheaper games with free online play. But they had.
Where did that meme come from? Is this some kid? Is that from that movie where like clip? Like live stream upstairs inside the bedroom, bunch of idiots. Anyway,
had to sit upright at a desk. And then there were the console gamers who got to lay back on a couch but had a lesser gaming experience.
You do realize that you can pair a wireless remote to your computer, right? And I'm not even a gamer, but I'm pretty sure it's technologically feasible. You get a wireless remote, pair it to your computer, and then put the computer onto a monitor, and then you can lay down on the couch. So, it doesn't seem like there's any reason to have a console according to this logic.
Due to a lack of console power. Enter the Steam machines. The idea was to offer people the power of the PC with the convenience of the console. So,
you can just plug your PC into the TV and use a wireless remote. How is this hard?
Valve, the company behind Steam, created this brand new, very unique controller with 2 clickable touchpads for mouse-like controls, and they partnered with a bunch of PC vendors, companies like Alienware, to offer buyers a number of different spec options. So each of these Steam machines was like a normal PC, but just instead of running Windows, because Windows was designed for mouse and keyboard, and even to this day you can't properly navigate with a controller, and because the CEO of Valve
You can't? I'm pretty sure, there's so many, Windows, and there goes my phone. Windows runs on ATMs for crying out loud. I'm pretty sure someone could figure out the skin to get it to run Windows, and you can run your Windows games like normal people like them to run. I don't know what games people play, but I know Windows is the #1 gaming OS.
Specifically hated the Windows 8 that was out at the time, calling it a catastrophe for everyone in the PC space.
Then put it on Windows 7. Or just wait. It was 2015. Just wait for Windows 10. What's wrong with these people? I mean, for goodness sake, we have government systems that I could log into right now that are running Windows 7. I wouldn't log into them because that would probably be criminal. But if some malicious actor wanted to, they could. So
these machines ran on the new self-developed Linux-based SteamOS. The problem was that the vast majority of games designed for Windows couldn't actually run on these.
Duh. How? Who? Okay, I've tried to run Windows programs on Linux before, for my Chromebook and on my phone. It is near impossible. Near impossible. I'm like, hey guys, yeah, we got wine. You think gamers are gonna want that? Okay, gamers, if they miss one shot, or if someone interrupts their gameplay, are gonna go crash out and start raging. Isn't that there's one guy on stream that goes if something goes wrong with him, And you wanted them to have to run Linux? You want them to have to try to run Linux and try to get their Windows games to port over? Absolutely ridiculous. Fire whoever was the R&D manager.
Only about 20% of the library of games on Steam could actually run on the Steam machines. And even the games that did run ran slower, since they'd been primarily
Always these games that you kind of like, oh, is this really fun to people?
optimized for Windows first. And to top the whole thing off, in a cruel twist of fate, Windows 10 dropped only a few months before the first Steam machines actually started shipping, which fixed a lot of the issues that people were having with Windows 8, and it was a free upgrade for like the first time ever, making the Steam...
Yeah, I mean, they didn't know that Windows 10 was going to come out. I mean, I'm pretty sure Microsoft would have told them. They could have even released it as their first PC game console. Right? Maybe just partner with some Xbox, and maybe Xbox wouldn't have helped them out. But, Xbox has their own games anyway. So Microsoft probably would have helped them out. Sad.
Machines very quickly run out of steam. Rest in PC. Made only slightly more bearable by the fact that this failure was essential for the newer Steam Deck to have been a success, since it led the company to develop a compatibility layer called Proton, which is what allows Windows games to now run smoothly on Linux.
What about non-games?
On gaming, though, does anyone remember that time when Elon Musk claimed to be one of the world's top 20 Diablo 4 players on Joe Rogan's podcast? And then when people checked, he actually surprisingly was on the leaderboard. I mean, if I spent as much of my day-to-day on X as Musk does, then I reckon I'd have to be some sort of demigod of innate gamer skill to also have a career as busy as his and be that good at any game, let alone something as insanely time-consuming.
Isn't Diablo just like that game you can play on? Well, no, that's Doom. Never mind.
As Diablo. Anyway, fast forward a couple of months, on the 7th of January this year, Elon streamed himself playing Path of Exile 2, which is another hack and slash RPG game that's pretty Diablo-like. And as you'd expect from gamer deity Elon Musk, his character was insanely maxed out. He literally had gear better than streamers whose entire job was to play this game all day.
Huh, that's nice.
But I guess that makes sense, since just a few days earlier, he tweeted, boasting about how his hardcore character had made it to number 59 in the world. He is actually so good at this game that his account was online while he was sitting at Trump's inauguration.
Whoa.
How does he do it? Well, you know what didn't make sense? The game itself. To Elon. People immediately got suspicious because he had all of this absolutely insane gear, but when he was live streaming, he was acting like someone who literally never played the game before. Like, for example,
Interesting.
Completely ignoring a Chaos Orb, one of the rarest currencies in the game. He keeps trying to pick up an item despite having a full inventory. You get the sense that he doesn't understand why his click isn't doing anything. Elon confuses item level with required level, causing...
What is this game? It kind of looks like a map. Is that It looks like a map from like some 2014 era book.
him to lament that his unbelievably busted top-tier gear is only level 62. But by far my favorite, most damning, and just all-out cringe offense? On the stream, he only plays maps from a folder clearly titled Elon's Maps, which can only mean one of two things. One, that he has paid someone to play this account for him, and they're the ones who've set aside some easy maps for him to play on stream so that he doesn't get annihilated while bragging to the world about how he wishes he could make the game harder. He literally did that, by the way. Or two, Elon just decided to actually name his map folder after himself.
Yeah, I'll go with number two.
Which, to be honest, might actually just be even worse. So anyway, the internet pretty quickly figured it out, and Elon admitted in DMs to YouTuber NicoRex that he had been having someone else boost his account. And he did also confirm that he was the one playing on those streams, but we got that part. I mean, in the end, it is just a video game, but there's just something so tragic about how incredibly 1000% his own fault this is. Like, it's a total, massively public self-own for one of the most famous people on the planet. Thankfully, we can all rest assured that at least that was the worst thing that he did all week, right? But enough hating the player. It's time to hate the game. Do you remember Overwatch? Overwatch was
What's that?
such a fun hero shooter. It was so instantly accessible, every character was so unique and interesting, and the world they lived in was so engaging that even people who'd never picked up a shooter before were playing this game. I remember the hype every time they teased the...
It reminds me of that game we kind of have to shoot the road with paint.
release of the character Doomfist, the way they embedded the lore of his character within the core gameplay. And this level of immersion is why the one thing that the entire fanbase was clamoring for was just a campaign mode. Something with a bit of
It's a campaign mode.
actual storytelling, as opposed to just having random heroes go head-to-head over and over again online. So imagine the hype levels when the trailer for Overwatch 2 dropped at BlizzCon 2019. A brand new game with a
Oh, I think I remember this. I didn't see the trailer, but I think I remember. I was in California. I remember hearing about this.
Campaign story mode being one of the main focuses. And then when it came to release in 2022, Blizzard announced that they'd also be shutting down the original Overwatch a couple of days before number 2 drops, which some people did not love, understandably. But hey, I figured that if number 2 is everything that it's hyped up to be,
That's sad.
then this is all just adding to the anticipation for that sudden go moment. Then it launched, and it was a disaster. For a start, you could not get on. The game was hit with a DDoS attack on launch, basically an
That's not their fault.
overload on the servers for which the company was totally unprepared for. So for the vast majority of players, the game was literally unplayable. Lots of people's stuff from Overwatch 1, the skins, the currency, had vanished in the process of merging accounts with number 2. You had to queue to play, which happens in these types of games, but sometimes behind 40,000 people in this case. The list goes on, all of which maybe would have been forgivable if the game was actually good, but it's just basically the same thing, except now battles were 5 versus 5 instead of 6 versus 6.
Okay.
So now I have even less friends. And then on top of that, they'd added a dreaded battle pass. They'd bumped up the prices on cosmetics, including a charm that worked out to cost more in-game than the real-life version that Blizzard sells.
I always wonder how it feels like if you know if you're ever inside of a game stream. Like what if you're inside of a stream? That would be kind of interesting.
You just can't make this stuff up. And they made it so hard to earn new characters that you basically had to pay for them, which immediately creates an uneven playing field, which is like the primary stabilizing force of an online game like this. People were so anguished that over 90% of the reviews on Steam were negative. This was the lowest rated Steam game of all time. And so it feels like at this point, Blizzard just decided, you know what, we've screwed it up anyway. You remember that campaign mode that we talked about? You know, the main new thing that Overwatch 2 was made for? Yeah, well, we're not making it anymore.
Damn.
And as if they needed it, it feels like the new Marvel Rivals game has just been the nail in the coffin. A similar game that seems to have
Isn't Marvel Rivals that game that Reddit Echo Chambers likes?
learned from Overwatch's lessons and has single-handedly stolen a further 39% of the game's player base.
Dang.
F's in the chat for Overwatch. But now we go from fixing what ain't broke to fixing nothing at all. This is the monumentally dumb
It's actually called the Spotify thing. No, card thing.
2022 Spotify car thing.
Which I don't understand how it broke and what it's running. Is it running Linux? Is it running Android?
And yes, that's its real name. So, you whack one of these in your car, specifically a car that doesn't already have Bluetooth or an entertainment display, and this gives you full access to Spotify that can be controlled with both touch.
But why? We have these things called radios, people. Like what? Does people not listen to the radio anymore? Isn't there some whole song about listening to songs on the radio?
And voice commands, which actually sounds kind of nice. And to look at, I won't lie to you, this is one sexy piece of hardware.
Daddy, chill.
So I'm not surprised that over 2 million people signed up for the initial waitlist. Also, this really is just a fantastic feeling knob. I don't know how else to say it. But then it launched. It was $89.99. You had to have a Spotify premium subscription to buy one.
Why?
The interface was trash and kind of laggy for a lot of people. Voice commands work, well, about as well as voice commands normally work. I mean, this feels like a pretty good example of my point. The lights are on and nobody's home. But more fundamentally, it turns out that the car thing didn't play music on its own. This is just a controller for the Spotify app that you already have on your phone,
So you could just got speakers?
which can already be controlled by your voice. And then factor in that the only people this is potentially maybe useful for are people driving older, cheaper cars that don't have an inbuilt way to play music from your phone. Are those the people that are going to want to pay $90 plus a subscription to add a completely
By that, let's see, $90 plus how much Spotify costs. You use that for a few years, you could have, saved up and bought a new car.
unnecessary extra step into their music listening process. So Spotify slashed the price to $49.99, and then they slashed it again to $30 just a few weeks later. They really were out here just digging deeper and deeper into their own grave, because you know tech fails well enough at this point to know that it gets even worse. Because then, in May 2024, Spotify announced that they would be ending support for the car thing by the end of the year. Does that mean they become car nothings? Oh, and no refunds. Sucks. Sorry, not sorry. Cry about it. Spotify, probably. They'd offer people a few months of free premium if you reached out and specifically complained about it, but that just felt like a slap in the face, really. And they even offered some refunds on the down low for people who were really persistent, but they never came out and made that open to the public.
Kind of crazy.
Sneaky. So, that same month, customers filed a class action lawsuit against Spotify for bricking the devices that they paid for, alleging that they would not have purchased the device if they'd known Spotify was going to pull the plug on them within only a few months.
Also, how does it pull the plug if it's just like a Bluetooth controller for the interface for the, Spotify app on your phone?
Makes total sense. So, there was a hardware screw-up from a company well respected for their software. Well, the Sonos app redesign in May 2024 was the exact opposite, and it was a lot worse. The company completely overhauled their
Sonos owners. Also, Sonos is kind of annoying. Oh, we get this Google.
Android iOS app. And the idea was to swap out the tabbed navigation system to a customizable home screen layout. Basically to put everything at your
The old app looks worse. How is this better?
fingertips, speeding up your use of the interface, which, if you've ever had the pleasure of using the Sonos app before, sounded like a much needed thing. And, well, it did make the app faster, but it's just that people very quickly at launch realized that, well, they could get to a lot of their stuff more readily. Some of the most fundamental features, like the sleep timer, alarm, editing the music queue, or, for many people, actually being able to find their speakers, not small things that are
Find. How do you lose a speaker in your house?
easily missed, were just gone. And if you were visually impaired, the app was just completely blocked off for you, because it didn't even launch with any kind of screen reader capability. Remember, this isn't just a speaker company who launched an app. The app is the company. Sonos' speakers are nothing without it. So naturally, Reddit had an absolute field day with this. People who'd built their entire homes using Sonos tech were fuming. There was a mass call for people to boycott.
Fuming? Okay, yes, I get it. If you're vision impaired, that's not good. But you can easily build that in. But for the other devices, you have nothing else to do. You don't like the way the app works, so you're not going to protest outside of their headquarters, burn it. You people have nothing better to do with your time. Good grief.
Caught the brand and abandoned them for alternatives. How did Sonos respond? Well, they were brave enough to tell people that the app redesign really just took courage. Which, I guess the courage to kill your company.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
As you'd kind of expect then, revenue shot down 8% year over year in Q4 earnings, which Sonos themselves attributed to the app rollout. $4 million was apparently just spent on app recovery investments. They had to delay their next 2 hardware launches just to get this thing under control, and in totality, the company took a $500 million hit.
$500 million is insane.
To their valuation.
Damn.
This update was released almost a year ago. The company is still trying to put out the fires it started and make up with customers. Sonos actually created a public Trello board just to show users where they're at in the fix pipeline. How bad does it have to get for this to happen? They've opened up their support lines on the weekends, almost like they've put themselves in detention. And on January 13th, CEO Patrick Spence announced that he would step down from the company, largely because of this. Deserving, I think, of an even bigger...
I didn't know you could buy Sonos stock.
6 out of 10 fail. But now it's time for the top 5. So, Fitbit has been making fitness tracking watches for quite a while now, but they only made their first proper smartwatch in 2017, the Fitbit Ionic, with its own operating system and app platform.
I wish that we brought cameras back to watches, That's another new feature that we've seen. Samsung used to have them, now they removed them. It's so sad.
And about 1.7 million were sold worldwide. But
also onboard music. Samsung had these headphones back in 2016, Bluetooth, but you could also have onboard music or even podcasts or whatever. Now they don't have that anymore. So sad.
Its core, it was obviously still a Fitbit fitness tracker. So if you wanted one of these bad boys, it's because you're ready to feel the burn. Unfortunately, they turned out to be a little too good at that. Oh, I just got 8 steps. From 2018 to 2020, the firm received numerous reports of the Ionic watches overheating while in use, while they were on people's wrists. And we're not just talking hot enough that people had to take them off, hot enough that it was burning people's skin off. Second and even third degree burns in some cases. Third degree burns are serious business, often needing surgical treatment. So what did Fitbit do? Recall the product? Nope. Contact the US Consumer Product Safety Commission like they're legally mandated to? Nope. They issued a firmware update to potentially reduce the strain on the battery, just in case that helped with any temperature escalations.
Okay.
And it did not. The list of victims kept growing. It took until March 2022, so 4 years after the report started, and 115 victims later, before Fitbit actually issued the recall they were initially meant to. And as a result, Fitbit has recently been very deservedly fined the grand sum of $12.25 million as a civil penalty. So you've heard of Bumble, right? The dating app where women have to message first. It was founded in 2014.
Don't they also have a Friends app too?
By a lady called Whitney Wolfe Herd after she quit Tinder. And the idea was Bumble represented a safer, more chill option for women who now have more agency and be less likely to just immediately have their DMs flooded with unsolicited anatomical photography. And the concept.
Couldn't women just flood men's DMs as well? But sure.
Massively took off, actually surpassing even Tinder in terms of downloads in the US. So clearly, this unique selling point has been working for them so far. Why fix what ain't broke? Well, Wolf Herd, they're actually called Pax, but go on. That's a bad joke.
What?
Stepped down as CEO in January 2024, being succeeded by the then CEO of Slack, Lydian Jones. And under her leadership in
I didn't
April...
know Slack's CEO was a woman. Nice.
Bumble had a fumble.
Dang.
They went through a redesign which added a feature that allowed men to message first, specifically in response to pre-written questions, but still, isn't that against the entire point? And this was paired with one of the strangest marketing campaigns I have ever seen. Massive billboards telling women that if they gave up on dating, they'd become nuns.
Wait, what?
Ever seen. Massive bill was paired with one of the strangest marketing campaigns I have ever seen. Massive billboards telling women
Thou shalt not give up. Okay.
that if they gave up on dating, they'd become nuns and that they shouldn't be celibate. I feel like it takes a special kind of mind to come up with this stuff. After which, of course, Bumble had to publicly apologize. And the worst part of it is that the knock-on
Instagram apologies. The best, the very best.
confidence from these very obvious blunders has led to Bumble's share price dropping by nearly
Also, I think
half
their
since the
friend-making
CEO
apps
change.
tagging
For a company this massive, that is the biggest single drop in value that we've seen so far in this video. Around $700 million just evaporated, which is probably why, in a move that looks pretty desperate, Bumble has announced that Wolf Herd will now return again as CEO.
Well, you know. Yeah, I mean, the other woman should have been fired.
In March. I would make a joke about the Bumble Hive still needing their queen bee back, but really I think this is just a case of not choosing people who make bad decisions. And now another app that was trying to dethrone the king, except potentially with even worse execution. Let's talk about Meta's Threads. This app was exactly the right thing at exactly the right time. It launched in July 2023 as a direct competitor to the text-based social media Twitter at the exact
Yeah, well, womp womp. And also, the Guardian, the EU suck.
point where people's enthusiasm in Twitter was at its lowest. Elon Musk had just started steering the platform towards his vision, and people were pretty bummed by the mass layoffs, the monthly payment now required to be verified, completely defeating the point of verification in the first place.
Hey, you know, we made some money. Well, I haven't, but people made some money. Like Tiffany Fong.
As well as the hugely reduced moderation. And so it's pretty hard to describe just how much
Wait, CNN has their own affiliate?
this app exploded. Threads was the fastest growing app in history, Think about this number for a second. 70 million signups in the first 2 days. Threads looked guaranteed to become the next big thing. We even made a video talking about how big of a deal it should have been. But it turns out Meta didn't release this app at the time that they did because it just so happened to be fully polished and ready to go at that time. They released it specifically to capitalize on all this drama with Twitter, which meant that while they could, and they did, get the users, they couldn't keep them. The app wasn't done yet. There were no trending topics, which are like the guiding force of a more news-based app like this. There were no hashtags, the ability for trends to spread. There was no search, which just made it feel incredibly aimless. And the problem with being so similar to Twitter is that if you don't beat the bird, you've lost to the bird. No one really wants two separate platforms that they have to juggle to post the exact same content on. You just want one place that you know the other people that you want to reach are also on. And since Threads didn't do enough to overtake Twitter to become the default option for this, its initially triumphant users just slowly, surely trickled back to where they came from. Now, don't get me wrong, Threads hasn't completely disappeared. It gets around 100 million daily active users. But then, considering that it got 100 million signups in the first 5 days, it's clearly got a very uphill battle if it wants to take out Twitter. Or X. 8 out of 10 fail, just considering how meteoric Threads' beginnings were. But now, at position number 2, the most atrocious fail so far, the vertical farming startup, Bowery.
Vertical. Oh, isn't that like hydroponics? I've toured a farm like that.
Now just listen to the magnitude of the claims this company was making. They said that their indoor vertical farms were over 100 times more productive than
Really? So, 100. So let's say your cornfield produces like 100,000. You're gonna have millions and millions of corn in one building.
than traditional farmland per square foot, because they could stack layers and layers of crops on top of each other. And also, they would use 95% less water due to their smart farming system. Literally,
this kind of aesthetic style. You have your little whoever's going in and filming it. You know, it's interesting.
Powered by their own operating system, Bowery OS, which used AI to offer
A farm operating system? Okay.
for individualized attention for all the thousands of crops in each farm facility. The idea was just that this was such a controlled and such an optimized environment that not a thing was going to waste. Their products were insanely expensive. Like Bowery's spring mix cost $16 at Whole Foods.
$16 for some salad? I'll grow my own salad for that.
Compared to the own brand at $6. But they were advertised as pesticide-free, absurdly flavorful, and
I don't care what free it is. Unless it's coming with some gold bars baked into it, no one's gonna buy salad for $16 for a salad? You better come from a restaurant.
and people were clearly buying into it. This became an enormous company, valued at $2.3 billion at its peak. Now, a lot of Bowery's success was down to their closed-loop irrigation system, meaning that the water in the facility was being continually recycled and reused, which also allowed them to score big in the kosher foods market, as it kept out insects which would break kosher standards. However, that closed-loop system ended up becoming the very reason for their downfall. Because when the farms were hit by a plant-eating pathogen in 2023, it spread like wildfire.
You're still alive? Oh, I thought they failed and it was some type of scam.
Every plant was so close together, and while all of them using the same water is great when that water's clean, it also means that the moment one plant becomes contaminated, it's going to pass to every plant. Bowery scrambled, investing all the money they could into separating the plants and trying to recover from this situation, but ultimately, the financial strain was too great. They very suddenly ceased operations in November 2024.
No.
So suddenly, in fact, that produce trucks were still arriving at facilities after the irrigation systems had been shut off forever. It's not often that we can say the reason for a tech fail is because the product literally died. 9 out of 10.
It actually did what they said. I thought it was actually going to be some type of scam, or they found out, like, no, this doesn't work. But, I mean, at least they did what they set out to do.
And failed. And on the subject of farming, you've probably heard about honey at this point. This company has sponsored practically every big YouTuber, including me, which will bothered me for a very long time. The premise was simple. It's a browser extension that advertised itself as giving you practically free money because it would search the web for coupon codes when you're checking out in an online store and apply the best one that it can find. Pretty genius idea, especially since even when it doesn't find a code, you basically think, oh well, at least I know that that's the cheapest that I can get this thing. With a premise like that,
Right.
Honey was obviously a success. I mean, I used it fairly regularly for 2 years or so. So much so that it was acquired by PayPal in 2020 for $4 billion.
When's this? Oh, 2019. Oh, I accidentally muted it. But that was 6 years ago.
But everything came crashing down in December 24 when YouTuber Megalag made an expose video about them, alleging that Honey steals money from people. I guess the whole free money tagline wasn't wrong, in a sense. So here's the thing. A lot of content creators, they rely on revenue from affiliate links. And the majority of these links work by giving a small cut from the total value of a sale to the site that
We're
got
going to do affiliate links as well. Make sure you check out our website. No one clicks them, but, at least we try.
the last click that led to that sale. What Honey was doing is, if you, let's say, clicked on your favorite creator's affiliate link to support them, and then you used Honey at checkout to get the latest coupon, whether or not it actually found you that coupon, Honey was swapping out that creator's affiliate link for their own Honey affiliate link, thus stealing the creator's cut of the end sale amount.
Which, it's bad, but I was always wondering how those companies, would make money.
So they've literally been paying all of these influencers to promote them while taking money out of their back pockets. It's so crazy that it sounds made up, and it somehow gets worse. They've also been lying to consumers. Megalag found that in many cases, Honey would provide inferior codes when better ones were available online. And you might think that this just means Honey isn't very good at finding them, but no. We now know that they're doing it deliberately because a Honey representative has actually gone on the record on a podcast about working with businesses to give them more control
Just sad.
over what coupon codes to find.
It literally lets you control the customer journey, convert, and control the discount code percentage as well.
So essentially, they're advertising themselves to consumers as a way to save money, while advertising themselves to businesses as a way to stop consumers saving money. It is a pretty grave situation, and as expected, the fallout has been enormous. Megalag's video is on 16 million views and counting. Honey has lost all credibility and the chance to work with many YouTubers. We're not going near it ever again. And to top it all off, YouTube's favorite snappily dressed lawyer, Legal, has fired a class action lawsuit against.
Dang. Insane. All right. Let's see any chats. No chats. We have to talk about one more thing, and then we'll be leaving. SSA LTW. LTW.blogspot.com. We finally finished up our saga. We're only one day behind real time now, so the story is set 2024 February 14th. I should make a graph of this. We used to be ahead of real time, now we're behind it by one day. So we're trying to catch up, trying to finish it up because we have more things coming down, and we'll focus on more websites here. But here, we sanctioned Gcam for their failures to operate. So Gcam got sanctioned, and we go work with President Allison and Vera. Go check that out. And we're going to see how isolationism caused Gcam to crumble and collapse, and how SSA pivots towards jailerism. All right. God bless. Tech talk to you later.